Chapter 2: How Gratitude Shapes Your Health and Mood. It might surprise you how closely gratitude and physical well being are linked. When people talk about gratitude, the focus often lands on relationships or emotion, which matter a great deal. But paying attention to thankfulness can also change sleep patterns, reduce stress, and even lower inflammation. In this chapter, we'll talk about the ways gratitude touches the body and mood, explained in simple terms. The goal is practical. When you understand the how, you're more likely to try the what. Start with stress. Human bodies are built to respond to danger quickly. When that alarm goes off a lot, the chemicals that help us survive, adrenaline and cortisol, stick around longer than they should. Chronic exposure to those chemicals makes rest harder, digestion slower, and immune function less efficient. Gratitude practices have been shown to calm the nervous system. A brief ritual of naming what you value signals to the brain that not everything is a threat. That signal reduces the intensity of stress responses and helps the body return to a baseline state more often. Sleep is a clear place where gratitude helps. Researchers who study sleep have found that people who keep a gratitude journal fall asleep faster and report better sleep quality. Why? It's simple. Worrying and looping thoughts keep us awake. Naming things you appreciate shifts attention away from rumination. Instead of running through a worry list at night, you train your brain to rest on a small set of positive images or memories. That shift is not a magic cure for chronic insomnia, but it supports better nightly rest for many people, and better sleep makes everything else easier. Mood and emotional resilience also get a lift. Gratitude is tied to higher levels of positive emotion like joy and contentment. When you build moments that highlight what's going right, even the tiny stuff, you expand your capacity for pleasure. That doesn't eliminate sadness. Instead, it gives you more emotional resources to handle low moments. Practicing thankfulness repeatedly creates new neural pathways that make it easier to access positive feelings under pressure. In other words, gratitude trains your brain to be more flexible emotionally. Let's talk about pain and physical discomfort. Studies show that people who practice gratitude often report lower levels of physical pain or greater tolerance. That doesn't mean pain disappears. Instead, gratitude tends to shift attention and meaning. When someone notices caring relationships or small daily comforts even during illness, those supportive elements soften the experience of pain. The body and brain interpret sensations in context. A life framed partly by appreciation feels less dominated by discomfort. Hormones and neurotransmitters are part of the picture too. Gratitude practices have been linked to increases in dopamine and serotonin, chemicals that support reward and mood regulation. These neurochemical shifts help explain why someone who keeps a regular gratitude habit may feel more motivated and more satisfied. The reward centers of the brain begin to respond more often to everyday positives, rather than only to big achievements or external validation. Another angle is inflammation. While the research is still growing, some studies suggest that people who practice gratitude show lower markers of inflammation. Chronic inflammation is associated with various health issues, including heart disease and arthritis. Paying attention to supportive relationships and everyday pleasures seems to have a downstream effect on biological systems. That's another reason why gratitude is often recommended alongside medical care, not as a replacement. It's a complementary practice that supports overall health. Mental health professionals increasingly recommend gratitude as part of a toolkit for mood management. For people dealing with depression or anxiety, gratitude practices are used alongside therapy and, when appropriate, medication. The combination can be powerful. Gratitude encourages noticing what works and what is intact, which can counter the narrowing focus that sometimes comes with mental illness. It's not a cure-all, but it's accessible, low cost, and helps many people feel steadier in daily life. Practicality matters here. So let's talk about realistic ways to use gratitude for health. One helpful routine is a morning check-in. Take a minute as you wake up to list one or two things you're glad to have in your life. It can be as small as hot water for tea or as large as a reliable colleague. This primes the day with a supportive frame. Another routine is the wind-down journal at night that we mentioned earlier. Keep it short, 3 items, 1 sentence each. If writing feels like a chore, use voice memos or a photo log to capture moments you liked during the day. Consistency beats intensity. It's better to do 2 minutes of gratitude practice every day than an hour once a month. The body and brain respond to repeated cues. Short, simple practices fit into busy schedules and create repetition that leads to change. If you feel resistance, if gratitude feels forced or hollow at first, that's normal. The habit will gain authenticity over time as your attention adjusts. Finally, think of gratitude as a companion to other health habits rather than a replacement. Gratitude supports better sleep, less stress, and a stronger mood, which in turn make it easier to stick with exercise, healthy eating, and social connection. When you combine these practices, their benefits multiply. Start small, notice the changes, and let those small changes motivate more healthy choices. Over weeks and months, gratitude can quietly reshape how your body experiences daily life, making it easier to feel well and stay resilient. 2.1 Gratitude and social connection. Gratitude often shows up between people. When thankfulness becomes part of your everyday interactions, it quietly reshapes how you relate to others. That change matters for health because strong, dependable connections give you resources when life gets hard. This section looks at the social paths that link appreciation to well-being. Expressing thanks builds trust. Saying thanks does more than brighten a moment. It gradually strengthens how reliable relationships feel. Each time you point out a specific action or quality you value, you make a small deposit in trust. Those deposits accumulate, and people who feel seen are more likely to respond with patience, honest listening, and practical help. Be concrete. Name the favor, the kindness, or the steady support you noticed. Specific recognition feels authentic and reduces misunderstandings. Over months, these steady interactions create a dependable base that others can lean on during illness, heavy workloads, or personal setbacks. The outcome is both emotional steadiness and easier access to real-world assistance. Try making a brief, daily habit of acknowledging one person's contribution. Those tiny gestures build a reserve of goodwill you can rely on when life asks more of you. Gratitude spreads kind behavior. A thank you often acts like a tiny signal that nudges people toward generosity. When someone receives appreciation, they frequently feel inspired to pass that warmth along, helping a neighbor, sharing a compliment, or offering a small favor. Those small acts ripple outward and reshape daily expectations. In workplaces, classrooms, or families, these micro gestures create a norm of cooperation. When kindness becomes ordinary, people feel safer asking for support or pitching in without hesitation. That cultural shift makes it more likely practical needs get noticed and met during stressful periods. You don't need grand gestures to start this chain. A short note, a public word of thanks, or an unexpected acknowledgement can set off a sequence of helpful behavior that strengthens the whole group. Feeling appreciated lowers loneliness. Loneliness is the painful sense of being invisible, not merely being physically apart. When someone thanks you or acknowledges your contribution, it affirms that you belong. That simple recognition interrupts the isolating thought patterns that keep people from reaching out. Small acknowledgments, a private message, a shout out in a meeting, or a thoughtful compliment send repeated signals that a person matters. Over time, those signals build membership and emotional safety, making it easier to connect, to ask for help, and to share burdens without shame. Beyond mood, feeling noticed supports practical self-care. People who feel less alone are likelier to keep appointments, follow medical advice, and maintain social routines. Appreciation becomes a gentle nudge toward behaviors that protect health and resilience. 2.2 How gratitude changes daily choices. Gratitude does more than lift mood. It nudges the decisions you make every day. When thankfulness becomes a habit, it subtly shifts priorities and energy. These shifts influence what you eat, whether you move, and how you use your time. Here are practical ways gratitude steers behavior toward healthier patterns. Creates motivation for small, healthy actions, noticing what goes well in everyday life, quiets the frantic search for big wins, and makes room for achievable habits. When you regularly acknowledge comforts and strengths, you naturally prefer steady, nourishing choices over impulsive quick fixes. This perspective nudges you towards small acts. Choosing a balanced snack, standing up to stretch, refilling a water bottle. that feel manageable and rewarding. Those tiny behaviors stack. A short walk after lunch can sharpen thinking, ease digestion, and boost energy for later tasks. Because these steps are gentle, they're easier to repeat. Over weeks, they become part of your rhythm rather than a constant battle. Gratitude doesn't demand dramatic change. It helps you value modest routines that quietly sustain well being. Small, consistent wins compound into noticeable well being, helps you keep commitments. Gratitude fosters a sense of care that often makes honoring promises to yourself and others feel more natural. Pausing to acknowledge support or simple blessings tends to increase motivation to follow through on health related tasks like appointments or prescribed treatments. Tie a brief gratitude cue to an existing routine. For instance, name one thing you appreciate while you brush your teeth. That tiny ritual can become a trigger. After the pause, you might check your calendar, pack a healthy lunch, or lay out exercise clothes. Over time, these linked actions cut down on the mental friction of planning. Instead of relying solely on willpower, you build a dependable structure where small acknowledgments guide consistent behavior. The payoff is steadier progress and less self-blame for missed steps. Interrupts negative cycles. A short gratitude pause is a simple, effective way to break automatic negative loops. When you notice yourself doom scrolling, replaying mishaps, or spiraling, naming one concrete thing you value, an easy meal, a kind message, a patch of sunlight, creates a tiny mental gap that slows the momentum of distress. That pause gives you space to choose a different response. Text a friend, step outside for a minute, do 2 minutes of stretching, or take slow, deliberate breaths. Those alternative actions replace reactivity with small repairs. With repetition, interruptions become faster and more automatic. Over weeks, the reflex to sink into worry weakens, and negative cycles lose some of their grip. This practice isn't avoidance, it's retraining attention toward options that restore and support you. 2.3 Trackable benefits and making it stick. To keep a gratitude habit, it helps to notice real change. Tracking makes benefits visible and keeps you motivated. This section offers simple ways to measure progress and to turn gratitude into a stable part of daily life, so its advantages last. Use quick measures to see progress. Small, simple measurements make change visible. Try a 2-sentence nightly note, a 1-item morning mood rating, or a weekly log of kind acts you received. For people who like numbers, pick 3 gentle metrics: mood on a 1 to 10 scale, minutes spent relaxed, and count of positive social interactions, and enter them in a free app or a plain spreadsheet. Keep entries brief so the habit survives real life. After 2 weeks, glance at trends rather than obsessing over single days. Notice more days above your baseline, fewer reactive moments, or more consistent energy. Use simple charts, rolling averages, or even check marks to show progress. Visual feedback is motivating. When a practice stalls, adjust one thing. Change timing, shorten the note, or switch to voice memos. Tracking is a learning tool, not a performance grade. Use it to fine-tune a gratitude habit that fits your life. Pair gratitude with existing routines. Attach gratitude to something you already do so it becomes automatic. Choose a reliable anchor, alarm dismissal, pouring your morning drink, lacing shoes, or sitting in the car, and do one tiny action. Name one small good thing. Take a slow breath while noticing one person you appreciate, or snap a quick photo. Make it under 30 seconds so it feels effortless. Consistency matters more than length. Use visible reminders like a sticker on a mug or an alarm label to cue the moment. If your schedule varies, identify several anchors to use interchangeably. Before breakfast on workdays, before prayer or meditation on weekends. Treat failures as data. Missed days don't mean you failed. They show which anchors aren't reliable. Swap to another cue, simplify the step further, and keep going. Over time, those micro habits knit into a steady routine. Create social rituals to reinforce it. Sharing gratitude with others makes the practice stick. Start small. At family meals, invite each person to name one helpful moment from their day, or open a team check-in by asking everyone to mention a colleague who made the week easier. Keep contributions brief and specific. Named actions or small details are more meaningful than vague praise. A gratitude partner or small group can boost accountability. Try a weekly text thread where members post one short note of thanks or swap voice messages at the end of the day. Rotate who initiates to distribute effort and keep the ritual fresh. Social rituals change the culture around you, making appreciation normal rather than exceptional. They also deepen relationships by highlighting unseen kindness. To keep it sustainable, set time limits, 1 minute each, and a no judgment rule so sharing feels safe and simple.